we're out in Taupo, New Zealand, pre-Ironman New Zealand. Weather here is absolutely amazing, and all our family and friends are at the pub, aren't they? And
Left us. They didn't want to be part of this, so we dropped them at the pub, and yeah, we came back to record this. So it can't be too long because a beer's waiting and pizza.
A beer and a pizza are waiting. All our family and friends have had enough of us. They're like, you two can record the podcast. We're going to go and enjoy ourselves. So
We don't want to hear you speak anymore, so
yeah.
bugger off.
But for all you guys that don't know of Fenella Langridge, she's like an awesome swimmer. I've been swimming with her on a regular basis, and she's been schooling me every single time. When did you start swimming? Like,
I have always swam, but I would never say I was that good. So actually, quite funnily, Ironman came to my house to record some stuff for the like docu-series, and my dad did an interview with Ironman upstairs on his own. He was like, actually, Fenella wasn't actually very good at swimming. She was really average.
really?
Yeah. So my brothers were always better than me. Like they went to nationals or inter counties, and I was just I enjoyed turning up to swimming and
Yeah.
playing with my friends, and like on a Saturday morning, for example, I'd be in the first session, say like 7 till 8 or 7 till 7:30, and my brothers would go in afterwards, and all of the next hour me and my friends would just spend in the shower just chatting and messing around. And that's probably just why I went.
I can remember that when I used to go swimming, because I actually did.
You say you
Yeah,
did go swimming?
I did swim. Yeah, I did swim when I was younger. Which obviously you'd be thinking flipping heck, like, what's he like? But I do. Yeah, I remember like messing around in the showers afterwards. Like we'd make the towels, and you'd like whip each other and stuff like that, and it would always be.
And the girls would like block the plug hole and then just make like bubble baths almost with all the shampoos.
Yeah. But I find that amazing. So you would say that your dad would say that you weren't actually a top swimmer when you were younger. He would say that you were like average, and your brothers were like the better ones. So.
Yeah, probably they were the ones that got national times, and would yeah, probably better.
Would you be? Do you think if you went back to swimming now, say if you joined a swim club, you would actually be classed as like a decent swimmer in a swimmer club, or would you say you'd be on the back foot, like, and there'd be loads of people that would be faster?
Yeah, because at the moment I swim at Bath University, and it's really cool because we get to swim next to like the Olympic squads, so you do see how they swim and how good they are. And I definitely wouldn't be a sprinter or anything under.
Yeah.
But there is one long distance girl there, and I think, and I've trained with JR where they've got like the long distance open water specialists, and I think if I went back and was a swimmer now, knowing what I know, I think I probably could do quite well.
What do you know now that you didn't know back then?
I think when I was younger, I just turned up to the pool and it was fun, and I just go up and down, and I didn't actually think about swimming, and I didn't think about times, or I didn't think about effort. I'd just be like hard, easy, whatever, or do breaststroke or do this, and I just follow instructions maybe a bit aimlessly. Whereas now I go to the pool and actually understand what I'm doing a lot.
Oh, right. So like you have like you stick to your targets kind of thing, because like Billy, like Fenella's partner, he coaches, and I've been going to some of the sessions, and he's like on it with like how fast you go for certain bits. So do you think now, because of that, like when it's like an easy swim, you stick to it and it's easy, and then when it's hard, you've got your targets, and like you don't necessarily go like flat out, but you like stick to your targets, so you like working the right energy systems and stuff. Whereas when you're younger, they might just give you like a certain amount of hundreds. You could either absolutely annihilate them when they're not meant to be, or you can just sandbag it, can't you, and just cruise. It's like you don't necessarily know what pace you should be going, or they don't really tell you, do they?
And I think maybe it might be different now, but looking back, I can't really remember like doing technical stuff as much as I like. For example, when I first started triathlon, I was coached at Cardiff Met by Andy Lane, and we would spend quite a lot of work on technique, and he would have the camera in there, and I think through that, learning a little bit more about body position and like getting a faster cadence and hand entry, and like actually watching yourself swimming for every other session for that year really helped
Was
you
that when you were a
understand.
swimmer or a triathlete
When
then?
I was a triathlete.
Oh, really? So when you were a
Yeah.
triathlete, he was like doing loads of like like video analysis and
Yeah,
stuff.
so I
What
think
like?
like on a Wednesday, for example, we'd just sometimes do sessions where we'd do like swim for 10 minutes, and every time you swim up the pool, you've got to think about breathing, like your head position when you, or
Yeah,
individual like techniques or pointers, and then on the way back you can cruise. But like it was more of a technique focus, and I think my how I swam as a child is definitely different to how I swim as a triathlete. And even like my old head coach for Winchester City Penguins, I bumped into him at the pool when I was at home,
all
and
right,
he was like, "Oh my God, your swimming stroke's really unusual." And I was like, "Oh, okay." It's
really?
just different, I
Because the
guess.
turnover's so quick, and
Yeah,
it's like,
and
oh
it's
right,
just a different style of swimming
to a pool swimmer.
to swimmers.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And before we go on to like talking about some other stuff, like because I was going to talk a bit about your background, but I'm like really like intrigued on this and everything. And like because you said like that you trained with JR, like
Yeah.
JR's got like he's like a bit of like there's so much mystery surrounding him in there. You know, for people that haven't like been with him, like I've seen him do it on poolside a bit, but I've not actually experienced like his coaching. But like, what do you think of that? And do you think people like Lionel Sanders, Sam Long, people like friends, and me, for instance, like, do you think that that would be beneficial going with JR? And why is he such a like? Why has he got such a like big reputation and big name in triathlon when he's like a swim coach? Why do you think that is?
I think he has got so much credentials to his name in terms of long distance swimming and the athletes he's created. And I suppose it's more the environment he's created as well. Like we, as triathletes, um, if we're accepted, we can just go up and have a session with him, and he'll accept us as long as we turn up and we work hard. If you
But I
don't
heard
turn up and work hard, he'll probably say bugger off.
I had rumours or like was speaking to people when I was in Noosa that he had rejected some people from joining them, like letting them join.
I can imagine
Like he
in
just said
his
no, like
yeah,
no.
in his view, maybe they didn't have the right energy, or like they didn't bring value to the squad or the
When you say the
environment.
right energy, do you think that he thought that they were like a bit negative with their own swimming and that would bring people down rather than like actually people that wanted to improve and wanted to
Yeah,
be there? So he kind of would have thought, oh, they haven't got that. And then do you think like he wants people to work hard and to embrace it? So if you sign up to his squad, it's like you're fully committed,
I think
100%.
yeah,
It's either
I would
all or
agree.
nothing.
Yeah, you'd have to like. We were lucky at that point when I was swimming with him. It was at the end of the season, so I took a back foot a little bit on the swimming, on biking and running. So we were I was using swimming as a way of really increasing my aerobic base
Yeah.
without doing as much cycling and running. So we could fully commit to the sessions that we did, but it would be difficult to be on his program and not maybe have that mentality, because if you're doing those extra miles in the pool, you have to consider it will have such a detrimental effect on your biking and running, and especially if you're not quite as efficient at swimming, because the amount of energy it will take to do those sessions will really affect the rest of your training.
If me, Lionel, and all of us, like, say we all like rocked up to Noosa, and there's like a load of us, and we were like, JR, can we join your squad? Do you think that he would think that we had negative energy,
I
or
don't
do you think
know,
he'd be like,
because you
nah, come
guys
on, guys?
you guys are workhorses. You will
Do you
you
think?
would do as much as you can until you break, and there's no denying that. But
I remember
I think
seeing
it
the
would be very
story
difficult.
with you and Billy when you were there, and Billy asked him, didn't he, or something like, "Oh, do you
Oh
lower the
yeah.
turnarounds or something?"
No,
And didn't he say, "No, I don't." What was it? What he said?
it's something
Like,
along the lines of oh no, I can't
I don't
remember.
reward people for
Yeah,
being slow or
I
something
think it
like
was
that.
that. I don't reward people for
Yeah,
being
so I
slow.
might not get any rest.
No.
I mean, like, literally going from one thing
Get
to the
fit or
next.
get
Yeah,
fucked or
yeah, it would be
whatever.
get fit or get fucked. Like, I think I'd be fucked probably. Like, I'd be off. Like,
And it is a big squad, and you have to kind of just fit into the groove of the way it works. And like maybe for some swimmers that wouldn't be the right
yeah.
way for them to go.
So going back from your like, once you'd like finished swimming and like with the club, and you decided to take on triathlon, did you go straight into triathlon, or did you then like have a bit of a break where you weren't doing anything, and then you came across triathlon randomly, and then decided to pick up sport again? Like, how was the transition into that?
So when I was younger, yeah, like I said, I swam, but I also did running and hockey and gymnastics and all the other sports you could do. And then with our swimming club, we did do some like multi-sports events. So we'd do like triathlon,
Yeah.
but with shooting. So it
Really?
was like it was
Cool.
over a day. So you'd be like
Yeah.
swim in the morning, then you do your run, and then you might shoot.
Cool.
And then I think I did do maybe 1 or 2 triathlons, but they were
Yeah.
just
How old would you have been back then?
9 or 10.
Oh, really young then. Yeah.
Really young.
Yeah.
And that I went to World Biathlon Championships in Monaco or something like that. But again, yeah, I was like,
Flipping heck. So all that, if you did well, you could go to Monte Carlo and like put it all on red and
Yeah.
see if you come back.
yeah, at 10 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am.
You have to get it to the trainer, like all of you pitching
I
in.
don't think there was money in those races. So yeah, but it wasn't until, and then when I went to university, I played hockey for my first year. And my second year, I just focused on like running. And then in my third year, I started triathlon.
Oh, really? And then when you started, you did short course, didn't you, when you first started?
Yeah,
So
draft legal racing.
what was the transition what was it that made you transition from short course to long distance? Because you've been doing long distance for quite a while now, haven't you?
Yeah.
When would it have been, like 2017, 2018 when you first started doing 70.3s? So yeah, ages really.
7 years, 8 years.
What was it that caused the transition? Like, what was it that made you not pursue the Olympic dream? Because everyone has the Olympic dream, don't they, when they do short course, like to start off
Yeah,
with
and
racing?
I did have that idea of, I think, I was aiming towards Commonwealths because I was able
Yeah.
to go race in Wales or for Wales
Oh, really?
in Wales. But it was just timings and like, so I did 1 year, my last year at university, I was picked up triathlon, and that year I did like Bucks, and I did quite a lot like local triathlons. And then in my second year, obviously I wasn't a student anymore, so I had to work.
Yeah.
But I had already got the bug of like triathlon, and I saw it as like a career or something that I just didn't want to stop. So I was like,
Yeah.
I live in Cardiff. I know I've got a good training base, and this is what I'm comfortable with at the moment. So we were there, and then I was working and training, and then I started doing like British Super Series, which led on to European Cups, which could have led on to maybe going to the Commonwealth. But at that point, I was working and training full time, and I was cycling my bike everywhere, and it just got, I think, to progress to the next step or to do well at like a short course, I would have had to stop working. And the only way I could do that was to move back home and in with my mum.
So did you think it was like a chicken and egg thing? Like, did you think like if you had the funding, you could have probably done it and like pursued it more?
Yeah.
But then because like you haven't got the funding because you need the results, you can't commit to it fully. So it's so hard to kind of take it to the next step because
Definitely.
I mean, I've never really done like short course, but I just came straight into doing long course. But I've seen like from looking in from the outside, to me, it seems like with short course, there's loads of politics with like national federations, which like massively block people.
Yeah.
And I feel like the athletes don't have the confidence to think that they could get better in 4 or 5 years. They kind of do it like and give it like a year or two. And then if they're not a quick runner or something like that, then they think it's never going to happen. I'm not a quick enough runner, but they don't give themselves time to do it. You know, like they don't commit for like 6 or 7 years. And then also I see that the money in short course definitely makes it like financially hard for people to do. Like you said, you know, like to get it to the next level, you needed to fully commit, but then you can't fully commit because you haven't got it. And it's just like, it just stops people from doing it. And then did you find that when you did long course, then you could like race on your own, that you can instantly do races where you can get good prize money. So like that was like a good step in, like it worked out well because then you could get some money behind you and try and get some sponsors or something like that.
Yeah, I think all those comments are really, well, yeah, hit the nail on the head in terms of like, it's quite hard. Maybe if I started the sport maybe 3 or 4 years earlier, I might have been in a different position financially, and I might have got a few more results, which might have seen things pan out differently. At the end of the day, I think I am better suited to endurance sports, but took that move home to be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do it and go on my own. And yeah, I think it is really difficult, and like they say, don't you need like 1,000 miles in your legs to finally be a
Is that what they say?
cyclist? Or
is that what they say?
Yeah, or like that many miles to finally, like, I don't know, to get.
So basically, you just need to stick to it for a long time,
Yeah.
to get the strength and
And that's why I guess you say it's odd when you see a champion made overnight. It's not.
It's very rare. It's very rare,
Yeah.
and like I think people see something, like you hear the success stories, and then people think, oh, if that didn't happen to me, then I'm not going to be good enough.
No, but
like,
you don't realise what they've done there 5 years.
exactly, yeah.
after that.
And some people naturally do really well, and then other people like kind of grind at it for about 5-6 years, get to a really good level, and then stay there. But it's
Yeah.
like you see that,
Definitely a
like,
grinder.
yeah, you see that graph, don't you? Where like it says like people want it to go like that, like a line, but it's like
Linear.
up, down, up,
Oh,
down,
I
yeah, and all that. What is it like being coached by Billy? Because obviously, like, your partner's coaching you, isn't he? And he's been doing that for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Like, does that cause any friction between the both of you then? Like,
I think it is. No, because no and yes. Like, it's hard because we're both so emotionally invested in the goals.
Yeah.
Which, when things don't go well, it's really challenging, and to communicate that, it does take a good few days, because if like with any athletes as well, he feels the lows just as much as the highs, and I think athletes sometimes forget that coaches are so emotionally invested as well, and they want you to see you do well. So yeah, in those parts, it's.
How does it work though between you two then? Because you weren't with him from the start, were you? Like, getting coached by him, that was like you were.
So when we moved, it just seemed, because obviously when I was in Cardiff, I was part of a centre, and so when we moved on our own, we were like in the middle of nowhere. So Bill picked up on picked the
It makes me smile, because I'm just putting myself in that situation. I'm just thinking, flipping heck, if I was coached by Laura, I think we'd end up getting a divorce. Like, or if I was coaching her, she'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And I could just imagine us two trying to do that, and like it'd be like fireworks or something. Like,
I think it's both a partnership, and we're always learning together, and we're both happy to ask the questions, why do you think that's best, or why, like, what are we doing this for?
How does he make the sessions though then? Like, does he write the plan, then you look at it and you're like looking at it and you're like, fucking hell, I don't think I want to do that, quite want to do that, what's this all about?
Yeah, but
like...
normally you don't. Like, the stuff you don't want to do is the stuff you actually need to do, and unfortunately, yeah.
So what would be an example where you'd question him? Like, has there been a time recently, like, where you've looked at something in the plan and you've been like, hang on a minute, Billy, like, this is like,
you think this right? Should we be?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that, like... it's not. To be honest, training's not difficult. Like, we all do exactly the same thing, don't we? We do VO2 stuff, we do threshold stuff, and we do like aerobic stuff and easy stuff, and like, you can mix it up however you want, but at the end of the day, as long as you've got a bit of everything and you're continually doing that and putting overload in, or you're increasing the intensity over time, you should get better. And I think people make training sound so complicated, and like overword it and try and take, like, I don't mind taking lactates, but as long as you've done the right tests to prove it and understand the science behind it, to do it properly. And like, there's so many different ways to skin a cat. Is that the right expression? But like, I don't know, training's not.
So you kind of feel like it's pretty simple, and he's got like a good. He kind of understands what you need to do.
Yeah, and each athlete is like, I do respond quite well to volume, so when we're able to do that, I can do it. But it's like knowing your capabilities and being realistic with that, and your timeline as well. Like, so I'm not going to be running a 2:30 marathon at the weekend. It's just not realistic.
How long has he actually been coaching you? And like, when you first started with him, then did you see like quite good progression from the start? So that kind of gave you the confidence that like things were on the right track.
So he started coaching me as soon as we moved from Cardiff to.
Was that when you at the start of your long distance?
Yeah.
Right. So. Right. So about like 7 years or so, something like that.
7 years ago.
Right.
But,
I'll just put that on here because we can edit. I can edit. I'll just put a bit of a note on.
Have you ever been coached by anyone?
I have actually been. Yeah, I have actually. I was coached by a guy called Paul Savage back in like 2012 when I was in Manchester.
Really savage.
Uh, no, he wasn't that. No, he
Sorry.
wasn't actually that savage. No, he was like trying to hold. He was trying to. Well, actually, sometimes he would be, and then other. Actually, I remember doing like one of the sessions that we used to do was like a 10-mile tempo,
Yeah.
which like thinking about it wasn't really a tempo for me. It was probably getting close to like threshold for like 10 miles. This was like running, and I used to do it in like 58 minutes, something like that, which at the time was like really good. I mean, I was that's like pre-carbon shoes, and I wasn't like that fast at running, so it was like pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I just remember like procrastinating over that run, like thinking, oh, like
Gotta be
God, like this 10 miles is going to be this 10 miles is going to be like brutal, and like yeah, that was pretty hard. But then when I moved away from him, that I stopped because I was like, I think like if you've got a coach and you're there in person, it's really good because they can see like how you're doing it and stuff. But then when I went to Spain for a winter and thought, well, I'm just going to do it myself because I was going to be with other people, so it was you had to be quite flexible, really. Yeah, otherwise,
to make the most out of it and
yeah.
learn.
Yeah, exactly. And then in 2016, I did actually sign up to another coach. Like I found him on Training Peaks. You know, on the Find My Coach thing on Training Peaks. I went on that.
Didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a thing. So I went on Training Peaks, went on Find a Coach, and
like a dating app.
yeah, it was like a dating app it was like a dating app. So
We should invent a new app
yeah,
for coaches, like a dating
yeah.
coach app.
So it was basically like that, but you couldn't see a picture of them, so I didn't know what they looked like. But
So
I saw his credentials. Yeah, I saw his credentials, and I thought, you know what, I'll give this a go, and I tried it. But I actually went like slower. After, like I think I actually went worse, and then and before that, like Laura, my partner, was like, "Oh, why are you getting a coach? Like things have been going really well. Like, you should just stick to what you're doing." But then I kind of felt like, oh, I want to just try something a bit different, you know, and like I kind of thought it would be nice to not really have to think about it, to just see what the training was on there and just tick it off, you know, like just
I
do
think
it.
that's why most people
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
it
exactly.
takes that brain work out.
Yeah, and then I did it, and then I went slower, and then that kind of I thought, well, I'm just going to go back to doing it myself, and I went back to myself, and then I improved back again like I like was before. So then I was kind of like, well, I'm just going to stick to doing it myself, and like I wouldn't say I'm against a coach because I think people think with me like, oh, he's against coaches, he'd never get a coach, but I would. But the thing is, I don't want to take the risk again and then lose a year because I would say I lost it pretty much a year. Like it was like from July 2016 to like April 2017, I never had a good race. Every race was bad, bad, bad. And then I
But I
started.
think coaches, maybe that was just the wrong coach, but it should be more of a, especially at your level when you've been doing it for so long and you, like you say, you do know yourself. It is like a two-way partnership, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's not like a child when they're on the pool side and they have the coach there and they're
yeah,
like dictating them, you have to do this and this and this. I think as you maybe not get older, but just like it is that it's more advice and be like
yeah. No, totally.
guidance or like that, not mentorship because I think you're on the same level, but it's like a teamwork where you both want to achieve the same goal at the end of the day, be that world championships or winning your first Ironman or whatever. It's that
Yeah,
journey.
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
So we often hear about mum energy and new mums and mothers with kids coming back in triathlon and getting that new lease of life. Do you think there is a dad energy?
I don't really know. Like, you know, like when I see like Chelsea Sodaro coming back and like winning the world champs, like I thought that was so impressive because like obviously like when you like your partner's giving birth and stuff and then you see what they go through and then to see that comeback within a year, I thought that was like amazing. Like I was really surprised. Like, and I think like actually before when she did it at the time, I didn't really think a massive amount of it until like you experience it yourself. Because I think she won it and like Laura was like pregnant, I think maybe like 6 months, something like that, or no, maybe even like 3 months, something like that. So we were quite early down the line, so I didn't really know the full extent of it. But then looking back now, I'm like, wow, that was mega impressive. But like with like getting a new lease of life, I don't really know. Like, you know, since like I've had kids, I've like really raced worse, to be honest. Like it's gone worse, and I don't know why. If that was like maybe like finding it hard, like adapting to life.
Yeah, because
like,
I don't think maybe you didn't give yourself the enough credit how much energy that
Yeah,
would,
like
not that it's bad energy, but it still does take a lot of energy to learn how it works. And like say it's your first child, it's all new, or giving it the respect maybe
yeah.
it needs, and or we should be giving more respect to other parents.
Yeah, and I feel like as well, like it's so hard to striking that balance because like obviously you're training all the time and you're used to just training whenever you want, whenever you want, and then like obviously like Laura's off work and then like she's been looking after the baby all day and then you come back and then it's like trying to
That
fit your training,
responsibility.
yeah, and then you've kind of got to like help out a bit and stuff like that, and I feel like that was like really that has been like quite hard, trying to balance all that,
And
and then
learning it all.
yeah, and you both like keep happy and stuff like that instead of like someone getting down and about it all. And I actually think, to be honest, I think I actually really struggled like trying to train and race through it while having kids. And then I look at people like Sam Long who had a kid and he's
Yeah.
like done really well, and I think wow, like obviously he's managed to get the energy, but like I don't know, I think like this year
It's
has
just
gone,
different scenarios and situations.
yeah, I
and
feel
everyone's-
like it's gone a lot better this last after like having Arabella for a year and actually experiencing it. But
Yeah.
like I think
No.
like everyone, a lot of people when they've had kids, especially like some of the pros, I think like some of the men, I think they maybe underestimate how hard it is. And like you look at it, it's like when when you look at people say you're looking through things through rose tinted glasses and you
Yeah.
see everyone else doing well and like posts on Instagram and it's all like really rosy and it looks like there's never the lows.
Yeah.
Like you kind of look at that and you think, oh man, like they're really coping with
why
having.
aren't I doing as
Yeah.
well at this point? Or
Yeah,
how come I
it just
don't
looks
have
like
the
they're
energy
coping with
to?
it a lot
Yeah.
easier and stuff like that. And you think like, God, is that what it's meant to be like? And you think like, oh, maybe we're doing something wrong and like we're finding it harder. But I mean, I don't know how they find it, but like
Yeah.
from looking at it from the outside, it looks like other people find it a lot easier and they've managed to adapt a lot better than what I did, which like, I guess some people are or some
Yeah.
people aren't, there's like a
But
lot.
people just
like-
don't share the
Yeah, maybe they don't.
less, like your maybe less good experience of as being reflected in the not so good performances, and you just haven't showed that in your day-to-day life where it's been.
Yeah, I just
more
like haven't really
challenging.
posted too much about it, but I thought it was quite hard to be honest. I mean, I hope maybe I'll get the dad energy this year, but like I do find it was definitely harder than what I was expecting, like, and a bit more of and a lot more of a change, like,
Yeah.
and I feel like now,
Lifestyle change.
yeah, and then I look back at now like people that have done really well, and I think, oh well, fair play to them, like they've obviously balanced it really well and
Yeah.
managed to come out like well, but like yeah, would you and Billy, like, are you going to have kids at some point? Like, what's the
Yeah,
plan there?
I would really like kids. I don't know when. I will think, and I don't know how I'll feel when, like, once I have them, if I want to come back after. I'd like to think that I would, but I don't think until you've actually.
Because there's some
had
women in sport that have done really well. Obviously, like
Yeah.
Chelsea Sodaro, she had them, and then the women in the Olympics for the running, the 1500 meter world record
Oh.
holder, Faith Kipyegon.
Yeah,
I think she had
there's
like one
quite
or
a few
two kids, and
runners, and
yeah,
I bet now if you looked at how many women in the Olympics are mums compared to like maybe even like 4 or 5 years ago, I bet it's increased significantly.
I've never really like spoken to a professional triathlete about it, but like, is the worrying thing about having kids the fact that like obviously your body's got to go through a load of changes because like if I have them, nothing happens to me physically, does it? It's just like it's
You're
just
lucky one.
yeah. Like you might get less sleep or something like that, but like physically you're absolutely fine. But with a woman, obviously, that's all the changes. And is it a bit worrying the fact that you think, would I be able to come back from this? How much does it take out of me? And will I get to the same level again? Because I mean, I don't know, but that would be what I'd be thinking if it was me.
I think it's so unknown, but like even I can only compare it to injuries or setbacks where you've had significant time off and you've come back, and sometimes you have come back stronger. So I think that learning process and what you go through during pregnancy probably will help you in the long run.
Yeah. Would it be motivational for you, like looking at some of the other women and that have come back and you think, well, if they've done it, then I can do it, because there's
100%,
like quite a few people that have done it now.
And there's more research and it's more talked about, and you're not saying that every pregnancy is the same, but like it's just shared a lot more, and you won't be like the only one out there with a baby doing whatever.
So when you said like you're not sure whether or not you would come back after it.
Yeah.
So in your mind now, would you be like, I just want to achieve as much as I can at the moment and see when the time feels right. And then when it does feel right, I'm not sure whether or not I would come back, but I would like to be happy with what I've achieved in the sport up until that point. So
maybe. Yeah. I I think there's. I don't think you know until like I don't think I'll know how motivated. I think it's more physically. I think I could come back, and I think
yeah,
that could be just as good. But would my motivation what be the
be
same
the
to
same to
get
get up
out the
and stuff.
door
Yeah,
and to be away from my? Because you would have to make those choices to be at the same level, to be just as good or better. You'd have to make those decisions to stay away from the child, or you'd have to have childcare and having that network around you and support to be successful, just as successful. So it's being having being able to accept that mentally. Like I don't know if at the moment if my mind would be able to do that.
all right. So you'd need to be in that
Yeah,
situation to know whether or not you would want to carry on
yeah.
and that. Yeah, that
Because I don't
makes.
think I'd want to do it. Like I think I'm the person like, oh, if I do something, I want to do it 100%. So would I be okay with being away from my child a little bit more in the pursuit of my 100% goal of becoming
Yeah.
world champion or whatever?
If you decided, like, say you weren't going to come back, like, let's just say out
Yeah.
of that, and like it wouldn't necessarily matter anyway, but like whether or not you had kids is a question that I was going to ask you anyway, because this is what I get asked all the time, and I'd be interested to hear. I've not actually asked another professional about it because I don't know, really, you just don't really seem like you talk about it,
You
but
talk about other stuff.
yeah, but like when
PlayStation
you
3.
finish triathlon, what are you going to do? Because
Oh
people
God,
ask me that all the
all the
time, and I
time.
say, I don't know. Like that's literally what I say. I don't know
What are
what
you
I'm
gonna
going
do
to
when
do.
you retire,
Yeah,
Joe?
yeah, that's what I got asked it the other day.
Yeah, you did, and you were
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So like, what would your answer to that be? Like, what would you do?
what would I do?
Or what would you like to do? I don't even know what I'd like to do, to be honest. Like, I really do not know.
I
Like,
would either. I'd still say in the sporting, athletic, health kind of environment. And we were talking a bit about it earlier in terms of like setting up a um I don't know if you call
oh
it
yeah, you were talking about setting up a training center.
a training center, abroad or home with a swimming pool, gym, and clubs would come or individuals would come and use it, and we would help coach and do talks or whatever about
So do you think
health
that's
and
something that you'd
nutrition.
like to do after when you finish then?
Yeah,
Like,
or have like my own cafe with a like a health wellness like hub. So it
yeah.
would have like a studio alongside it, and then it would have you could hold like spinning classes or yoga classes, and then but also have the cafe food, like social element of it as well.
That sounds good. Like, I'd love to have a cafe, but like people
The
put me off.
hours, or
Like,
no, I worked in cafes, and
really,
it would be it's. I think people underestimate how much work goes into it.
I'd end up drinking and eating all the profits.
Yeah,
And
it's like my old boss. That's what he
really,
did. He just walked in, grabbed like a pie or a cake from the counter, and like checked everyone was okay. And then he went off.
everyone I know
But
who
he
has
did do
a
a lot of like handiwork as
did
well.
he?
But
Everyone I know who has a cafe, they always tell me, "Oh, you don't want a cafe. You don't have much money. There's no point." And I'm
no,
kind
you
of thinking,
probably
like, is that true, or are they just saying that because they don't want like someone else setting up a cafe? Because like,
because
I
I
would,
steal all that.
yeah, I see all these cafes and they're always like busy, but then like people say that to me, and I'm like, oh, is it a lot of hard work and not much
Yeah.
return or not? Like, I don't know, but I do like the sound of having a cafe and stuff like that. I would quite like to do that. Like, I love coffee.
Socializing,
Yeah,
coffees,
yeah, it would be
chat.
great. Yeah. Like you see some of these like cycling cafes, don't you, where people have like their memorabilia around and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and you go in there and it's like quite
It
cool.
has to be quite unique and individual. Yeah, like I think the place definitely will make it like where you put it in terms of like if it was a cycling specific, if it was on a route or like at the top of a hill or something like that.
Yeah,
But I don't know, even like doing more if I was still coaching, doing more like commentary or like speaking at events and stuff like that. Because well, hopefully I speak okay. We'll find out from the podcast. I'll turn up and realise I've said too many ums and ahs and swear too many times. But even stuff like that would interest me, and I find it quite exciting to share that like energy and passion for the sport.
What
So,
about a triathlon coach? Because that's like the go-to, what a lot of people go into when they retire,
yeah.
isn't it? Would that be something that you would do?
If I had, I would quite like coaching, and I think teaching is something that does.
But you can't do it in person. You've got to like, if it's coaching online, like you've got to do it on like, you know,
It
just
would be
training
more
peaks or something.
challenging, but I would
Would that motivate you?
maybe not as much as face to face.
Yeah, like I would love to do it face to face, but like if I had to do it remotely, like I think because it's not the same, is it? Like you'd want to do like training camps or something, I
Yeah,
guess, when
you'd
you.
have to have at least two training or one or two training camps a year or something like that. But I've always like my mum's a teacher and her mum's a teacher, so I'm like it's definitely in my in my
God, yeah,
bones.
it's in your DNA. It's in her DNA.
But my mum, I think if we have kids, I'd go back to like teaching kids.
Yeah,
So have a more of like a like yeah, an introduction to triathlon with the kid. Like I remember like going to my swimming like yeah, going swimming classes, and we'd have like gym sessions, but they weren't really gym sessions. It was just in the hall, and we'd do like circuits. But that was like my favorite bit of training, that because your head wasn't in the pool, and you could chat with all your friends, and
yeah,
you'd go around and do like push-ups and press-ups and like rope climbs, and like with the
yeah.
benches you used to have, and you used to like, bunny hop over them.
I just, I just got these images in my head, like of you like having a kid and then getting back into triathlon, and there's Billy at the pool, and he's just getting run ragged. Like he's got the stopwatches in his hand, he's sweating because he's trying to get the splits properly. He's running up and down the pool trying to stop the kid from jumping in, and then he's like
Why did
flipping. Yeah, he's just
I
like,
wanted to coach elite athletes, not kids.
yeah, you'll be looking at that thinking, oh, I'm just going to carry on swimming because he's got his hands full, and like it's easier just going up and down the pool than it is like running after the kid next to it.
Probably, maybe.
All right, I'm going to have a little look because I've got some questions prepared here, and I'm going to pick a deeper one.
Oh God.
Which, yeah,
Okay, let's
I
go
know,
for it.
and that's not normally what I'm like, but ChatGPT did give me a little helping hand, I have to confess. What's a life lesson you've learned through triathlon that seems completely absurd but actually resonates with you? Didn't have to be completely absurd, but like, is there anything you've learned from doing triathlon that actually you think resonates with you and could potentially help you like in the future going forward?
I think like your open-mindedness, maybe. Like,
Do you know what I think? Like, and I reckon that you'd probably think as well,
okay,
because you used to
we're
do
on the
an
same wavelength.
yeah, because you're doing like Ironman, and like even when races have gone really well, there's always something that goes bad in the race, or you go through bad patches, don't you? And it's like overcoming the negative things. Like I remember, like when I think back to some of my races that I've ended up winning, like I can remember like in
You've always had
Chattanooga.
something not go quite right.
Yeah, or just like being like thinking that I weren't like, I remember back in Chattanooga, I'm trying to think when it was 2021.
Yeah.
I was on the bike and I was in a breakaway with Sam Long, and we were like riding along, and we'd like we rode up to the front group. We dropped Lionel Sanders, who was obviously a big threat for the race,
Yeah.
and then we just managed to like get rid of Cody Beals and Ben Hoffman. And me and Sam were like working, and it was probably about 85 miles into the race, and he was on the front. And whenever he was on the front, I'd feel like I was like going like flat out, like really hard. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to run off this. I'm like on the limit, on the limit. I'm like, I'm going to have to fucking let him go. But then another part of my head was like, no, 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 don't. And then I got on the front, and then he must have been thinking the same thing, because then on the way back into transition at the end, I managed to pull away and I got a minute, but I was like so close to just letting him go and just being able to ride at my own pace. And it was like, you're going through this patch in the race where you're like on the limit and you're thinking, God, he's going to win. Second place isn't too bad. I'll let him go and I'll just see. Yeah, maybe I'll be better on the run. Maybe I'll feel better on the run. I might catch him, but if I don't, second's still half decent. But then it was like, no, I didn't. I kept in there, and then all of a sudden he fell off, and then I'm like getting this extra energy because I'm like,
he must be feeling shit.
yeah, he's obviously feeling worse than me because he's actually let me go, and then I end up winning the race. And I thought back to that and I thought, wow, like it could have so easily turned the other way. It could so easily, like, yeah, literally.
And if you had let it drop, he would have had the same mentality.
He would have had the same mentality, and I'd have been like, I'd have just like rode in at my own pace and just hoped for the best.
Happy with second here.
Yeah, and I just feel like in other races, like you go through parts where all of a sudden 1 minute you feel great,
the
next minute you feel crap.
Yeah,
and I feel like like that could really help you, like in other parts of life, isn't it?
Definitely. Like and even like day to day in triathlon and training, like you have a shit session or a really bad day, but then the next, you know that it's not the end of the world and there's just going to be another tomorrow and you can try again and it will be better. Like just not getting too caught up in the nitty gritty of it and just being a bit like me, it's okay, it's the longer, it's all about the longer game rather than just the.
And do you know one of the most frustrating things I think as well, which loads of people, everyone must go through this, is you put loads of effort into something and then it doesn't always show off in the race. Like I remember like last year I was putting like decent amount of effort into my swimming. I was swimming better in training, and you go to races and you swim like shite and then you're like, God, I'm swimming worse than what I was and I wasn't swimming good. And it's just like and it could happen to other people, like maybe they put loads of effort into the run or something, you know, and then they go to a race and then they're running worse and you think, God, in training I'm going really good, and it's just like you can do things behind the scenes when no one sees, only you see, and then you go to the race day when that's the way when it matters, because at the end of the day it doesn't matter what you do in training, but it's so frustrating when you consistently see something that goes well and it doesn't happen on race day and you're like, this is really frustrating, how can I get this to like happen on the day when it actually matters? And it's like you put loads of effort in but it doesn't always transpire that you're going to get these like instant returns or see the like the rewards, the fruits of your labor. Yeah, that's it. The fruits of your labor. That's exactly what. Like, have you had that happen with stuff in triathlon?
100%. Like, people, like the stuff you do behind, like if if a relatively normal person came and followed us around for the day, and they'd be like, "Why'd you do that way?" And you'll be like, "Oh, because of."
What do you think they'd say that about then? Like, why?
Like, oh, why do you wake up at this time? Like, oh, so that I can do like 20 minutes mobility. And like, why do you eat your food like that? Oh, because I eat it at that time so that I don't get a stitch while I'm running. Or like, and it's so second nature to you. Or like, oh, why don't you drink a coffee after 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Because I won't be able to sleep and that'll affect my performance the next day. And like, oh, why do you put that on top of that? Oh, because it has this extra bit of nutrients in it.
So do you think that's all stuff that we take for granted, that like a normal person, like
God,
it wasn't in the spot?
Think about it.
Really?
They would just put that whole gallon of full fat milk on, or like like why did you end up having your like?
Because I've never even thought about it. Like just
they're only like maybe
just small things that like
insignificant, aren't they? And they do just become ingrained in your day-to-day life. But like, oh, why do you go to bed at 9 o'clock? Because I've got to get 8 hours sleep.
Yeah.
Like,
do you get up at 5 then? Go to bed
at 8? No, not that early. But like, if you walked into any, I'd say 80% of the UK population's houses, they're sat on their sofa at 10 o'clock at night with a bag of biscuits.
That's actually me. That's actually me. I'm sat on the sofa at 10 o'clock watching Netflix.
With a bag of biscuits?
Not with a bag of biscuits, no. No, I wouldn't have a bag of biscuits. I'd probably have some Nelky, but I am sat on the sofa at 10. But we are late, right? We are late.
You're the other way around.
Yeah, I do go to bed. We do go to bed quite late.
Person.
Yeah, but when you're saying that, I'm thinking, oh, maybe there's a few like 1%ers here. Keep talking, Fenella. You give me some tips. Let me have another look and I'll get some inspiration on what we can.
What is your biggest
pet
peeve with triathletes?
Oh, pet peeve. What? So like something.
Grinder. What do you call it? That gets your gears grinding, or like it's just
gets my gears grinding about triathletes. Oh, that is a tricky one. I'm trying to think. Have you got any what you can think of off the top of your head? Like, so I need to get started on this. When I get started on something like this, I don't stop. But I just need to
wear Oakleys with normal clothes.
Oh, like sports sunglasses.
Yeah.
I'm just checking. Mind a prescription. Mind a prescription. I can't see. If I don't have this on, I can't see the screen or Fenella. Like I'm like.
He just thinks he's.
I'm Stevie Wonder. I'm like Stevie Wonder. My eyesight's like as good as his anyway. I don't know. Pet peeve. I do know what you mean though about like. So basically, you'd say like not like people that wear like sports kit and stuff like that when they're out as well, because you do see like triathletes wearing like Garmins and stuff all the time.
Yeah, I do have another one.
And so the thing is with a triathlete is it's very hard to go under the radar and look like a civvy, because you always do something like there'll always be little signs you'll see, like they'll either have some sort of running trainer on, normally a Garmin. You've just said sports sunglasses, or an Oura ring, but that actually looks pretty discreet. I wouldn't necessarily know that was an Oura ring, like, to be fair. But yeah. I don't know really. I've got so many of them, and I've said them before, but I just off the top of my head, I can't think, and I'm surprised now.
It's when it was it's not a triathlete thing. It's when which is not anyone's fault. It's probably more in the UK. But when someone comes up to you and asks you if you're going to the Olympics,
Really, do you get that, do you?
is it, oh,
Like,
you're a triathlete, are you going
yeah.
to the Olympics?
I never get that. You obviously look a lot more athletic than me and can pull it. You can pull it
Oh,
on.
he couldn't
Like,
go to the
yeah.
Olympics.
Really, you're a triathlete. All right, good luck. I always get like, can you make a living from that? Like,
Oh yeah,
that's my biggest
so how
one.
did you get your money?
Well, it doesn't always come.
Yeah.
Don't ask me.
Another pet peeve.
Well, other than last year. Last year wasn't good. I've ended up bankrupt.
It's not your fault.
All right, so just before we go, because time's getting on, and with everyone else is going to be eating the pizzas, I've got one last question for you, Fenella. And you could always, if you've got one, you can ask me, or I can answer the same one as well.
Okay.
If you had one bit of advice that you had to give to your younger self, what would it be? It's quite a deep one, that is, isn't it? Like to catch someone unaware with that.
Yeah.
It's a bit. Do you want me to go first? Because
Yeah,
I can I've got one in my head for this.
Okay,
I haven't even rethought about it, but it just comes. You know, sometimes you ask a question, it just comes, and it like it's just like come to me.
Verbal diarrhea.
Yeah, yeah. One thing that I would be, stick with it, because I always see so many people I don't feel like they give enough time to something. Like they get into doing it and like they don't bear with it enough, and it's like everyone expects like results and everything to come instantly, but it's like actually, I guess it's not necessarily like I did stick with it, but I feel like with a lot of people, I feel like they don't stick with it, and because they might have got into the sport later than someone else, or they don't improve at the same rates as other people, they give up. And I think you see a lot of teenagers and everything like that who are good at sport, but they're not necessarily the best, but they give up and they think, well, never going to happen to me. But potentially they could have been. And I just feel like people just need to really stick with it, because it could be something that they would regret later in life.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like if you give it 100%, and it doesn't work out, at least you can look back and you can say, well, I did everything I could, and I've got to be pleased with wherever it took me. And I feel like just stick with something and give it 100%, because you can always look back and you won't have any regrets. And it would be such a shame in life to look back.
Yeah, and to
think,
try.
yeah, I was like 70% in, I was 70 or 80% committed, and like what could have been. I'd hate to think what could have been. Like, at least if I look back, I feel like, well, I can say I give everything I could, and that was what I achieved. That was the best that got out of myself,
And you have to be happy with knowing that fact, and as well, like not like knowing this is your place and this is where you are, and be happy with that. And I suppose maybe along with that, mine would be just don't get caught up with I don't know if it's the numbers, but like just still do, especially if it's with sport or whatever you do, make sure you enjoy it and don't not, you have to take it seriously to a degree, but like you still go out the door and you want to do it and you smile at the stuff that you see around you, or like we're here in Taupo and I'm still like, oh my god, this is amazing, pinch me, I'm in New Zealand, kind of like so excited to be exploring and traveling and training, and just don't take those moments for granted at all.
So you said about like not looking at numbers. Would you have said then when you were younger that was something that you looked into too much, like the numbers and everything like that, and now like you're more about like how you feel and everything like that, and you wouldn't like judge one bad session on something? If you have a bad session or a good session, it's like you kind of just ticking boxes kind of thing, and it's like tomorrow's another day.
Yeah, I think maybe I've always been a bit like that. I'm pretty dyslexic, and any numbers or literacy just goes over my head anyway, so I'm much more of an airy fairy kind of person. Put me in any other situation and you probably won't get much out of me. But maybe that's individual, isn't it? I suppose it's like knowing yourself, and I don't think I've really known myself until I was in my 30s. So when you're in your 20s, and for those younger people that are listening, because you're so cool, you probably have a lot of young
I don't think
kids.
I do. I think I've got more like 40, 50.
All
So
right.
I appeal to like the
But like maybe they're the same, that they don't feel like you really knew what you wanted in life or knew what your values were, or how you wanted to live until you were in your 30s or I don't know, you just go through so many chapters and things can change, but yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to end it there, but I just want to say, well, good luck to Fenella. I know we're going to say it anyway, but like, wish everyone wish Fenella good luck for Ironman New Zealand. Although this might come out afterwards, if it does come out after Ironman New Zealand, you can check the results. Fingers crossed that we've both had a great race, because we've trained really hard for it, and we're optimistic, aren't we, that we're going to do well.
We'll do good.
Yeah. So yeah, we were going to. With this podcast, what you'll get kind of thing is things might go off on tangents, and we didn't go into loads of Fenella's like how she got into triathlon and her like full journey into where she is now. But
bits.
Yeah, but well, lots of triathlon podcasts go into that.
Well, I think this one can be different.
So it's kind of a bit like you have a chat with people and you kind of see where it goes, and this is where it's taken us. So I hope you really enjoyed it, everyone. And
just have to come back and we can talk about other stuff.
Yeah, well, I could carry on. To be honest, I've got so many more things that have come to my head, but like it'll be
next time.
Next time. Like, but yeah. Anyway, that's the end of the show, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave some feedback. Give me a review. It's the first one I've done, so hopefully I'll improve as we go along. But Fenella's propped me up, and
got me excited.
Yeah, see you later.
Bye.